Welcome to the Elevating La Cultura podcast, a space where I talk with Latinas who are passionate about what they do and are willing to share that passion with others to change the narrative, especially for the next generation. Each season is centered around different topics, but all with the Latina perspective. Welcome to Season 9, where we will talk about reflecting on personal stories and letting our brilliance shine. I'm so excited to share these powerful conversations. So vámonos, and let's get into it. All right, I've got my last guest for Season 9 on the mic today. Ruby from Ruby Creative Co. has a passion for empowering aspiring entrepreneurs and nonprofit organizations to achieve their marketing and design goals. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, but now residing in Arlington, Texas, she discovered her love for community-focused design at a young age. Ruby Creative Co. believes in starting with your unique perspective in order to bring your vision to life with thoughtful design philosophy and expert art direction. Established in 2019, Ruby Creative Co. has been serving clients for over 7 years, supporting Latino-owned businesses and mission-driven organizations in crafting engaging brands. Ruby is a first-generation Mexican-American with a passion for uplifting her community through exceptional designs and content. She doesn't limit herself to any particular demographic and loves collaborating with entrepreneurs from all backgrounds and sharing her expertise to help them succeed. I'm so excited to get into this episode. Oh my goodness, I am beyond excited to close out this season with the one and only Ruby, and I'm thrilled to have been able to work with her over the past few months, and I just knew that I had to bring her on to share her story and to share some exciting news. So if you make it all the way to the end, you get to hear the next big thing for Elevating La Cultura. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, hello world, hello Karina. I'm very excited to be here. I love. Oh my gosh! Anytime I get an opportunity to do something like this, I'm always all for it. So thank you. First of all, so my name is Ruby Herrera of Ruby Creative Co. I am the owner and founder of Ruby Creative Co., a marketing and branding agency that works directly with nonprofits and small businesses. I work with organizations such as the National Puerto Rican Museum here in Chicago, the Cesar Chavez Foundation, and a Latino organization in Boston, Massachusetts. So that's just a little bit of what I do. But while I'm doing the nonprofit world or helping the nonprofit world, obviously my foundation is small business, and I like working with women and the minority community to make their branding dream come true.
I have known so many branding companies and people who do branding, but when I met you and talked to you and then also saw the work that you were putting out there for many of my friends, I was like, Ruby has something that is different. And when I am working with my brand, Elevating La Cultura, and working with other entrepreneurs to partner with, to work with, I am so intentional. Before, when I started my business in the wedding industry, I was not intentional. I was like, okay, I know you, I want to support you. Okay, cool. Let's work together without knowing anything. And now that I've been in business for 15 plus years and have pivoted my business, I am super intentional with who I work with, and our vision has to align not only in what we're collaborating with, but also outside. And so knowing what you do and your heart and your passion outside of just our collaboration was the deal breaker. Not only do you produce amazing work, but you're also an amazing person. And I love everything that you're doing in and out of your business. But I connected with you through a few jefas. Stephanie, who was an earlier podcast guest in this season, and Adriana from Adriana Talks Dinero, who was on the season prior to this one, worked with you. And I I was able to witness the joy and just the ease that it was to work with you. And so I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but I need to work with Ruby. But I want to know what led you to be a graphic artist.
In the Latino community, in our community, I really do feel that coming to the elders, coming to your parents and telling them that you want to be an artist, because that's literally how it started. It was very unheard of and no one had done it type of situation. My dad, who had immigrated here from Mexico when he was like 6, and my mom being born here in Chicago, it was like, what if no one has done it, then it doesn't exist. So that's the pushback that I got from my family of, I want to be an artist, but my father thought I was going to be, I don't know, on the streets trying to sell my paintings. And I didn't understand exactly what type of artist I wanted to become. I just knew that I really wanted to be creative. And I was very intentional with that, with wanting to be creative as much as possible. So I started to research careers that would align with becoming an artist, but then that can also, for some reason, my little 8-year-old, 10-year-old brain was like that. I can also make money, because my dad was so big on, you need to build, you need to have a stable financial foundation. And because of that, I was like, maybe I like kids, maybe I should be a pediatrician. And I designed this little, like, this science board during summer camp, and I designed it so well. I fell asleep at 1 in the morning and I presented it the next day. And I won the little contest of showing off the career that you wanted to be when you grow up. But I didn't win because of the content that was on the board or the stuff that was on the board. It was because it was the most creative board with all, compared to all the other kids' board. And I realized after this is like, I'm supposed to be an artist. I'm not supposed to be a pediatrician. And at 13, I had searched, a couple key terms. I was very much into computers, very into MySpace and the little coding and all of that stuff. And I was like, I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to be a graphic designer. And when I told my dad was the first person to shut me down, the first person to not believe in me. But I, of course, now as an adult, I understand why. So I wanted to be an artist because I felt that it was my safe space. And growing up, not having my mom in my life and my dad occasionally in and out of my life, I felt like art was my safe space and what made me feel like I could be good at something and people would recognize me for it and acknowledged me. And I found a community within art. So I just kept doing it. That's literally what happened.
That's amazing. You said that you knew at a young age that art was like your thing and you wanted to pursue it. What steps did you take in order to continue that education without the support of your family?
While obviously I was looking for confirmation from my family, even though absolutely no one understood what I was doing, I had to find people who were my type of people. My type of people was heavily involved in school. My type of people were teachers. My type of people were counselors. I became very vocal early on. I started to learn what it was to have a voice, which is something that I wasn't taught at home. I learned it with just asking questions and figuring out what resources they have that can help me get to my goal. So I would very much be vocal about that. I really enjoy art. I want to be as much as like involved in design classes or art classes, that as much as I could. So I would go, we had an extra, some high schools have like this college program where you can earn college credit. And there, one of the programs was graphic design. And I decided to apply for it. It was like $50 for the application. And I was like, and I get college credit after this? I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. So I took on any opportunity that I possibly could, in order to put me in that lane, to continue to just focus on the goal, because I knew that that's what I wanted to be and become. Now I didn't have money for college, and my, after asking my parents, they were like, no, we can't help you get to college and whatever XYZ reason. And I realized I was all like, but I really want to go to college. Like, I really want to do this. And mind you, even though I am first gen on my father's side, my mom didn't go to college. My mom didn't finish, barely finished high school, and she had me at an extremely early age. She had me at 16. So there was no education really level on both sides. So it's like, who do you look up to? Who do you go for answers within your own family? So the people around me in school who made me feel safe became sort of that family, the support that I needed. And really putting myself out there. I would talk to some teachers that were running some of the clubs or some of the sports. And I would ask them, I'm like, can I design the poster so that you can plaster around school to recruit whoever? Can I design it? And they were more than happy to support me. They're like, yeah, it's a student and she's doing it for free. And all she wants to do is design it to plaster it all over the lockers. And I started to put myself out there that way. And of course, the teachers, the teachers being chismosos themselves, they went and talked to other teachers. And the word kind of got out where Ruby was like this little graphic design person. Never did I think that I was an entrepreneur, though. And I'm very, very big on that because I didn't know what an entrepreneur was, but I knew what a graphic designer was. And that's kind of what led up to my journey. It took me to community college where I finished my gen ed classes and as much as design classes that I possibly could that would be accepted into the Institute of Art. And then I went to the Institute of Art in Chicago and finished with my bachelor's there.
That's amazing. I'm so excited that you were able to find the support to get you to college to pursue your dream. And I think I mean, it's a it's a common story, sadly, when like the generation before us, like our parents, did not see art as a real job. Like it was fun. It was like, oh, you can do that anytime, but what's going to get you paid? And there's just so much, like a lot of my peers have pushed through that conditioned idea and just pursued what they want to do and have been able to build a thriving business from it. So after you graduated college, what did that journey look like for you, and what did you do? Did you go right into a job, or did you start doing this on the side and then like
you know,
accidentally build a business?
everyone told me that I wasn't well, not everyone, but certain people had told me they're like, you're not gonna find a job right after college. Like that's the reality of it. But then I was like, man, I'm very hard headed. Maybe because I'm a Taurus. I don't know. I'm very like bull. Like that happened to you, and that's not me. I'm not you. I am me. So I'm very that person, very grounded. So I was all like, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. And it wasn't, no, it wasn't easy at all. I think that it wasn't until I started working um at Office Max in the printing department is where people on the side were like, do you design on the side? And I'd be like, legally I'm not supposed to say that, like, but yeah. And I mean, I was like 17, and I had already done it in school, so in high school, so I was really like pumped up to like take it to another level. And if there was this one DJ that would get his flyers constantly printed there at that Office Max, and he's like, would you design like flyers on the side like for me? And I was like, yeah, dude, like give me your email and we can talk. And literally it just started with little things like that. Can you design this? My friend's dad had a pool business. Can you design a logo because he needs to print it on shirts? It hit me really hard when I was like, wow, like there's my logo is on all these workers shirts while they're doing a business. And I'm telling you, it started to really, really hit me at an early age because, again, I started to put myself out there. When I graduated college, it wasn't, I like to joke with my friends and I say, I guess my manual on how to do life after college got lost in the mail because I never got it. And I had to figure it out on my own. I'm like, I remember when Yellow Pages used to arrive at your house, I didn't get mine. So I say that all in all to say that I graduated with honors. I graduated like with like A's and B's. I was very good in college and I could not find a job. And I started working, and this is not something that many people know. Actually, very few that are close to me know that I started to work at AutoZone. I had a part-time job at AutoZone to get me through to pay my bills because I needed a job while I was looking for my dream job. And that's just the reality. That's life. And I had a car note and I needed to pay rent. And even though I was living in my dad's basement, my dad charged me rent because he's like, Ruby, in the real world, you pay bills. And even though it wasn't like to what the rental, pricing is now, it was still like hurting because I was like, I'm trying to finish college and I'm trying to pay this car note. And how are you so mean? But now I understand the concept of why he did that. He knew best at the time, right? And I felt like things were coming together, but not coming together. But what I did is that for 2 straight weeks, I applied to 1 to 5 applications every single day, because I said, I'm not going to be stuck in this situation. This is not my final destination. And I am better than this. And I deserve more. So I would apply and I would apply and I would apply until I landed a full-time designer as a junior graphic designer at a mortgage company that was in somewhere in Lake County because they moved around. And I got an interview. I had an interview from the manager. He was so excited by my portfolio and everything. First of all, he had no idea what a graphic designer really was, which is kind of weird to say. It wasn't until a senior graphic designer who was a professor at Harper College is the one who reviewed my portfolio and said that my portfolio had excelled from the other ones, and he recommended it to the manager, who the manager then interviewed me. And I thought that was beautiful because an actual professional professor reviewed my portfolio, and that's why I was hired at that mortgage company. And that's where my story started with my career.
That is amazing. I love how your story has like such resilience and grit, and like you just like would not take no, and you would not settle. And I think that is such an important characteristic for entrepreneurs because it's hard. And if you don't have that grit and determination and resilience, like you're not going to grow and grow to your fullest potential. So, after you started working at the mortgage company, were you still doing stuff on the side?
Yes. Yes, because your girl was on survival mode. And obviously I was we're hustlers. I don't know, there's something about Chicago. We're hustlers, and I was like, I need to hustle, and I need to also feed my soul, because I felt like being in 3 4 gray walls within a cubicle was not enough inspiration, was not inspiration at all for me to be creative. How can you possibly ask me to create something absolutely majestic if for in 4 gray walls? It's terrifying, and it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic expectations, literally, sometimes what I now that I think back into the corporate environment. And just a little bit about like that back a little bit about that background is that the only type of retail job that I really had was working there at Office Max. This amazing Colombian education director at the YWCA of Lake County would come very often. She's retired now, and she also had a liking to me, and she decided to interview me, and I became her assistant after Office Max. So I've worked in an office environment, a corporate environment, since I was 18. And I was only at Office Max for like about a year. So I turned 18 in a nonprofit organization, in an office environment, and I had never had any other job but something related to corporate or in an office. So I learned a lot of skills on how to build a business for myself outside of my corporate environment, because I had such a strong foundation at a young age. And when I did take on a certain clients, I still wasn't like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I wasn't fully in in that environment yet, because I say, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. And I was obviously promoting myself as an entrepreneur now that I understood what it meant. But it wasn't until about a year and a couple months ago, since the mortgage company actually sold off to another company and let everyone go, including the team that I was part of. It wasn't until then that I had to make a choice. Am I strong enough to move forward on my own? And that's when reality just hit me, right? It's kind of like, am I enough? Do I have, am I making as much as I was at my corporate job, if not more? And all these things start to come together, right? And while I was taking all these clients, I guess I wasn't realizing that when you're out there helping the community comes and takes care of you. And that's something so powerful that one of my friends, our friend Steph, told me yesterday that I really wanted to say, because it imprinted on me when she said, she's like, when you go and help others wholeheartedly, and you don't expect anything back, it literally comes back 20, 30, 100 times stronger. And it gets me so emotional, and I had to really take a moment and be like, wow, it's God in the community. So while I was building this little mini empire, while I'm working my full-time job, which is absolutely ridiculous, while also trying to have a healthy relationship with my now fiance, it's like, how do you balance all of that? How do you take on the world? How, as a Latina, do you want to do everything but also do nothing at the same time?
It's definitely a balance. And I think that, like what Steph said, like always so inspired by her. And so
Me too. Me
I'm,
too.
I'm so glad that she was on the podcast this season. Um, I have learned so much from her in just like through social media, through the community that she is building.
Yeah.
And it's so true. When you show up for your community, like what you receive is like amazing. And it's so hard to explain and put to words until you actually experience that.
And it's hard. It's very hard. Experiencing doesn't mean that you're gonna walk, it's the color de rosa. It's really not. And I learned that. Obviously, I've had bad experiences too. Like, it's not. It's been a mix of a lot of different things. And I feel that I had this one client also ask me, like, how is it that you're doing it? How is it that you're very intentional, like in the beginning of this conversation, with the audience, with the people that you want to work with, especially because I really do pride myself that I work with the Latino minority, Latino or minority community nonprofit organizations. And people are like, but Latino people are broke. Like, that's what she said. And the Latino people are broke. Latinos, like, they don't pay well, or they'll give you an IOU. And I'm just like, I don't know what Latino people you're talking to. But I have a different vision. I have a different way. I have a different strategy. I'm also not you. Let's go back and say, I'm not you. So when they say, like, there's no money in the Latino community. And that struck me, and it stayed with me, because obviously I'm talking about it here with you. And I was like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in what you're saying. And I'm not going to get sucked into the idea that because you feel that there is no money in Latino, you refuse to invest back into them. And I'm not doing that. And gracias a Dios, because I have had that mentality, and because I am the way that I am, I refuse to believe that to this day. And I work very heavily with some amazing people who also have very amazing supporters of their organization. So I think, like I said, it comes all around. It comes into a 360, and it literally supports everyone that's in the circle.
Yeah, that way of thinking that the Latinos don't have money
Hmm.
is what keeps people stuck in
Yeah.
that mindset. I think it's a conditioned idea that people have been passed down or taught because of what we hear on social or on through the media.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like when I look around at my actual community, I'm like, I don't see what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah.
Like the people that are in community with me, like get it. And if you're not or don't want to be a part of it, then you're going to continue with that like closed mindset
Yeah.
of like, I can't do it, or there's not enough, the scarcity mindset,
Mhm.
limiting beliefs. And so I love that you are like, no, I'm not doing that. I feel like usually I ask people like, what are any limiting beliefs that you've had to push through? And
That's one. That's a big one for
yeah.
me. um, yeah, I feel that, and this is coming from someone who is also has a Latino background, so
Yeah.
it says a lot, and in a sense, like, and I can understand their where they're hurting in a sense, you know, because it's
Mhm.
coming from a place of hurt. And I'm not speaking from, I like to, when I speak, even when with my partner, I tell him, I'm like, are you in this moment, are we talking emotionally? Is this an emotional reaction or comment that you have to say, or is this, or are we speaking logically? Because we need to get through to an answer, we need to get to a conclusion, and we can't just stick in the emotion, because it's going to lead into the definition of insanity, which is going in a circle and having no change, and that's going to lead nowhere. So I am very that way also with the people that I hang out with in my community, where it's kind of like, where is this leading to? Are you thinking logically or emotionally? So we can get this straightened out.
Oh my gosh, I love that because I also am very logical
Mm,
and I'm like, okay, and it's hard for me when I'm talking to people who are emotionally driven, I guess,
yeah.
or
And it's okay to have a little bit of that. Like, I'm not
yes.
saying like, but there's just the fact that we were, as women already, and as a Latina women, we get paid, you know, the least amount out of everyone. It comes to a point where you enter a room and you're already, just because of the way that you look, you're already at you're already seen at the bottom, and you haven't even
Mhm.
said anything. You haven't even done anything. And to me, it's just like, no, I'm going to show you that I belong in this room. I belong more than a lot of these people in this room, and I'm going to show you. And a lot of the times it's like, I can't speak to someone emotionally, because then they're not going to take me seriously. So that's why sometimes I have to, you know, flip the switch and be like, okay, let's talk about business then.
Yes, exactly. I think there's this thought that women are too emotional and they can't make like informed decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No, girl,
have
we
you
bosses. We bosses. We're a little, I
exactly?
mean, we're a little soft. I mean, we have our soft. We're going, what is it? I was telling Steph yesterday, I'm like, this is that healing girl era, you know, sé qué, and you know, this
Yeah.
year. But I really, I can't sit here and say that after what's been within like the last 6 years, I guess you can say, of my life, that this decision of me becoming, you know, a full entrepreneur and really taking the leap, because I guess I do carry a lot of still those characteristics of that old generation. And I say that in the sense where a lot of the older generation tends to stick at the same job, at the same corporate job, until they retire or until they get fired or let go. And that's really has been the mentality. I know that's been my father's mentality for a very long time. He works right now at the same company that I've known since I was a kid. So I know that's still within their generation, right? So I felt like I was very much stuck in that for a while, and I was like, if they don't kick me out, I'm never gonna leave. So them closing the company and selling off literally gave me that platform, or it catapulted me into like, really, Ruby, you need to make a decision right now. And I wouldn't have been able to really fully make that decision without my fiance, without my partner, without my life partner, because without him, he is the introverted version of me. And he makes a lot of very logical decisions, and he's very to himself. But when we have conversations, he has been literally the rock who has been like, I got you, I got us, and I want you to go and pursue your dream and do what you said you've been always wanting to do, because you're never going to leave corporate. And it wasn't until that push, and it doesn't have to be like, in this case, I'm talking about my partner, but it really just has that one person, because I am very big on, it only takes one, and that one was my grandmother who raised me. And I said, it only takes one to truly believe in what, you know, and what you're fully are going to what who you really fully want to become and embrace, and all those scary things go away when that one person says it's okay. And my grandma had always manifested, and at a very early age, before I even knew what manifestation really was. And she's like, Mija, tú vas a ser alguien grande. You're going to do something big. You're going to be so big. And I don't even know what yet, but you're going to be so big. And I believe it. And when I lost her at 13, I felt like she was still right beside me at every step of the way. And even when I was trying on my wedding dress a month ago, I felt like she was there every step of the way.
That is so beautiful. And you're right. It just takes that one person to believe in you, to shift the way that you're thinking, to challenge conditioned ideas. And it's, I mean, sometimes it's hard to listen to that one
Oh,
person.
yeah. He's like, "I
Uh,
already said that. Your friend." I'm like, "My friend said this." Pero I already told you that like last
I
time.
know. I know it's the same with me. But I'm so thankful that you are on the path that you are now, especially because it gave us the opportunity to meet.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been like full-time entrepreneur?
For for a year and what is it? It was like in May, and a year and like 2 months. um, but mind you, I'm born and raised here in Chicago. Chicago has my heart forever and ever, and I say that. I live in Texas now, right? And Texas is my home, but Chicago is my heart. And I will never say it any different. No matter even if I have kids or whatever, I'm gonna be like, I'm a Chicagoan till I die. And people in Texas know that about me, and they love it, and they don't care. So we lived in Boston, my partner and I. We lived in Boston for about a year and a half. He lived there longer for a business investment, and then after that, we were like, Boston is not our jam. I think that maybe we should make a move after this, or it's not working out. Do we go back home to Chicago or do we go to Texas? And I said, I have family in Texas that I feel that is enough foundation because I'm an extremely family oriented person and I need my family. And I said, I think that there's enough foundation, but not so much where it's overwhelming because I have 19 cousins, first cousins. I am the first of 20 in total. We're 20 cousins, but I'm the first granddaughter, first daughter, first everything. So I really pride myself in paving the way with my whole family. And it became extremely overwhelming where I'm like, I feel like I need to set boundaries because I'm tired of healing for others and receiving energy that doesn't belong to me. So now I had to make this move, this decision, and I told my partner, let's move to Texas. And we started over from nothing. Like we moved into my tia's guest room for like 7 months and we started a new life in Texas. And I told myself in Boston, because I was so over Boston, that when I arrived to Texas, that I was going to blow up so much, that I was going to push my business like I've never pushed it before. I was going to invest everything that I had into it. And that's exactly what I did. My family was even shocked. They're like, what do you mean you have friends? Hasn't it been like 2 weeks? I'm like, I want to get out here to meet people to talk about my business because my business is going somewhere. I really do. I love what I do, and I know that people are going to love what I do because I'm not hurting anyone. I just want to help people. And of course, the journey has given me amazing connections and amazing people in wonderful places. But it's also just as much as I've received the good, I've also received the bad. Where some entrepreneurs, some jefas that are talking about community and women empowerment should not be talking about community and women empowerment. And I'm very big on that because I'm very intentional. So when I started to realize, okay, which group of women do I truly see myself in? And that I also can match their energy and see them because it's not just about me. It's not just about me getting all these people in my network, no sé qué. It's about them too. So that's how I started to grow in Texas. And then here, you know that I fly back and forth to Chicago because I can't get away. Like I have to come back. I have to come back to be with my Chicago peoples. So yeah, sorry. I feel like I got sidetracked and it went into a different question.
No, I love that you're sharing all of this because my listeners can hear the passion and intentionality that I was talking about when working with you. So I mean, from the first time that I like saw what you were doing and kind of like was introduced to your whole process was when I saw the branding that you did for Adriana.
Yeah.
And just because I was not obviously in the trenches and in that process, but the afterwards, when you worked with her to announce and release all her things, and I saw through the Instagram live, like everything that you walked through, I was like, this graphic designer is different. And I think that's what attracted me to you because I could sense your passion and your joy in what you do through the screen,
Yeah.
which is not always easy to do. And so I know
Yeah.
that my listeners will probably be able to tell and feel that passion and joy through your story, which I love. We just finished working on a new brand and logo design for elevating la cultura. And so I haven't shared like publicly or with a lot of people that I'm doing this, but I am just so excited to announce it here first that Elevating La Cultura is officially a registered trademark. And because of that, I thought it'd be great to do a whole redesign because it's been 9 seasons. It's been a lot of growth in what this started as of just a podcast.
Mhm.
And um, I knew that in talking with you from our first meeting, well, even before that, when I saw you on Instagram Live, um, I knew that I could trust you with this process. And so I would love for people to kind of get an insight of your process and how you go about working with people because it's like I felt like I was working with a friend. And now that we work together, I feel like I can call you a friend. But from the first time that we connected, I was like, okay, this girl, like, we're kind of
We're
friends.
besties. No,
Yeah.
and I say that so confidently because like I just again, just like the intention, right? Everything with intention now, especially with all the growth that you deserve. It's I know how important something like this is because obviously I walk through those first steps and I refer back to my foundation so much when I work with new people and when I meet them for the first time, and I'm very also intentional of who I want to work with. So our goals, just like yourself, our goals, our mission, our vision has to align. And of course, we don't have to be offering the same services, but I think that as people, we know if we have found a connection. Just the same way that you find your nail girl and your hair girl and all of that, you find that connection and you feel like I'm gonna keep coming back to this person because they make me feel comfortable and they make me feel seen. And if that's what the energy that I expect for me, I want to feel seen, I want to feel wanted. That's what I want to give to my clients as well. And if that's not the energy that's matched, then maybe I'm not the designer for you. And that's okay. That's totally okay. But after, meeting with you and talking through your, what your vision and even if just these, questions that come up where I'm just kind of like, I don't really know exactly where I'm headed, but I'm headed there, if that makes sense. Like I'm driving, but it's foggy. How do I like and that's where I come in as a designer, as a strategist to help you, reach your goal, to help you narrow down those ideas that you have, that if you might have like some, what I'm only really asking of you is that you are very serious about what you're going to be entering, this new business venture that you're going to be entering. I ask my clients to be very serious about what they're doing and that they're very aware that this is a full-time thing. And then when we have this 30-minute to an hour discovery call, we talk about things like that. We talk about how did you find your passion to want to do this? What is it that you actually do? And when I see and I can see the matching passion in my clients, I'm like, this person is ready to take on the next step, because branding or rebranding is not an easy process. And like I've told many people, this is a psychology. I practically put together a whole structure and survey of a psychology type of person with that type of background in order for me to get in your head to really bring out your vision. And that's such a deep thing to do. That's I joke with people and I say, I'm like, unfortunately mind reading school was so expensive, I needed to go to art school instead. And I tell people that because it's true. I'm like, I can't read, I'm not a mind reader. And I've worked with clients, or almost worked with clients, where literally they have absolutely no idea, but I can also tell that they're not ready to take that full step into entrepreneurship. And that's my middle mole, like that's my main stuff. If you are not fully ready to enter that, no matter how terrifying it might seem to you, and you're not ready, then you're just not the client for me, or you're not ready to be the client for me, let me put it that way.
I think in the corporate world and in the Western United States culture, American culture, that
Yeah,
is not the norm. Like people are just wanting to take
yeah,
and be like, okay, you would need something? Sure, just pay me and I'll just give you whatever you want.
right.
And that's how I've gotten burned in the past and have spent way too much money for something that I didn't even end up using.
Hmm.
And so, in working with you, I think that there was this level of reciprocity of like, look, I am designing this for you. If you don't like it, you got to tell me.
Yeah,
Like, if you like, and one of the things that
yeah,
stuck with me is that, like, look, I want to be as excited and proud of what I create for you because this is
yeah,
going to be all over.
yeah.
And I like, I don't know, like it through the process, I just felt so taken care of because I felt like you wanted my success as much as I wanted the whole project to succeed. And like, it wasn't just about the transaction.
Right.
And I love that because that is cultural. Cause I'm like always wanting to make the connection and build a relationship beyond just like, okay, we're working together for this one
Yeah.
thing. So yes, have, I don't know, like I feel like in working with you, I have never like hired someone to do a specific thing like rebranding where it's so emotional. Like you said, it's like so
Oh.
psychological because I am pouring, like, I'm trying to relay what all of this is, my whole business, my whole brand
Yeah.
is. And I felt like I've never worked with someone who took that and had such passion and care for it as much as I did for what
Oh.
I'm building.
This is your baby. This is your baby. This is your face just as much as mine. And that should be taken very seriously. And like you said, it's not just a transaction service where you pay me, you call it a day, you move on with your life. If I feel like that, if I can't connect to it, how could you possibly connect to it? That's not fair. So yeah, it was every project, every client that I take in is it's a very emotional process. And Adriana would tell you, like, we went through this whole emotional roller coaster as well. And not good stuff, a lot of emotions, that came out, a lot of conversations that you might have not been ready before to have, that now you are ready to talk about. There's stories that my clients have told me just about their story, about their life, and obviously that has a huge part of why they even started the business. A lot of the people that I work with, that's generally the story behind their business. And it's a community thing, it's a culture thing. I recently branded the slogan, building community through design. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful that I spent about maybe 2 to 3 years just coming up with the perfect slogan, trying different words, trying different things. And after I landed on that one, I'm like, I'm branding this, I'm trademarking this. And I contacted my attorney and I was like, we need to file this now. Because I'm building community through design. And it's something that I never imagined it would get to this point. And that's what working with you was amazing. Just going through the process of your vision, of the background of your business, of how far you've gotten, and really putting that together. and wrapping it in a little gift and putting a nice bow on it. Yeah, I think that I hope that everyone reaches that level of growth, that level of confidence, because it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful achievement that belongs to us, and no one ever gets to take that away.
That gives me like chills thinking about it. And I hope that other people are able to work with you and like at least start thinking more intentionally about their business and the way that they're showing up on social media, visually, marketing,
Yeah.
all the things. And so you really deliver a lot when you deliver the package in a bow, because I wanted something that was like um iconic, recognizable quickly. And you like, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to be sharing the sneak peeks. And if you're not, then that's okay. Yeah, I'll be sharing on Instagram at the end of season 9 anyway. Um, but I think transitioning us from season 9 to season 10, I really wanted to up level the visual footprint that Elevating La Cultura has. And especially as I build it to something that is more than just the podcast, but more something that is reaching generations, that
Yeah.
is reaching the nation. And I think you did that. And you not only delivered a nice little logo, but you also worked on fonts, you worked on graphics, you
Yes.
worked on the actual logo, plus submarks, plus like
Yeah, we did
different,
some patterns,
yes,
color palette
patterns.
direction, and this is all, and some designers, some of my designer friends are like, "Ugh, I could never work with Canva," because Canva is a tool, right? I don't use it as a design platform, but I use it to collaborate with my clients, because obviously not everyone went to design school. Not everyone has the background that I have. That's why I do what I do, and I'm in business for what I'm in business for. So I work very heavily now with Canva, in the sense where my I make all the files accessible so that you're able to upload them to your Canva Pro account and are able to access it easily, and transfer everything seamlessly, so that you're not figuring out, trying to, oh, this template looks nice, but next week that template looks nice, and there's too many templates, there's too much stuff going on, where it's like, when you finally have your brand, your logo, your different logo variations, your color palette, your graphics, and now you are now tunnel vision, and you know exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it. And that's what I expect out of this process, is for to set up my clients with, to set them, no, to prepare them to be successful after we work together, because there is an after. Just like everything, just like marriage, there is an after. And it's like, what do we do now? We signed the thing, we signed the contract with working with Ruby Creative. What now? So I want to set my clients up for success, and that's the goal. And if I can't reach that goal, then we have not hit the goal. um and it doesn't make sense to work with together if you are not going to be fully prepared and confident to use the resources and tools that I'm providing for you. Because I can create all the magic, but the magic doesn't exist if you do not use it.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a mic drop moment. I think that's a good quote that we
I'm
can
gonna start
that we
making stickers.
I know you should. Um I'm so excited that my listeners get to hear like the intentionality behind all that you're doing. And I hope that they start thinking more intentionally about the brands that they're
Yeah.
pouring into, and just see the importance of community and connecting with one another. And I think this is a great way to like wrap it up, other than like you just said, like about the magic, but like community, like when you show up for your community, it pours back into you.
Yeah.
And I feel like we talked so much about all the things, business, life, design, but I wanna ask if what is bringing you joy?
Joy. Oh, what is bringing me joy? Right now, taking this. I decided to fly into Chicago for a month, all of June, and what's bringing me joy right now is the stillness that I get to, the privilege of the stillness that I get to have with my family right now. That I get married at the end of this month, and I decided to dedicate the whole month to spending time with my siblings and my father who's getting older. And my career, my choices, my life choices, my education choices have led me to this moment. And that is the biggest, greatest gift, the biggest joy that I could ever have. Like I never imagined that I would have. And spending Father's Day with my dad and knowing that we as a family are all together. And that's bringing me the biggest joy right now.
Ah, that's so beautiful, and I'm so excited to hopefully connect with you in person.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
We've only spoken virtually, and I feel like we're like we're like
I know.
good friends. That tends to happen. That
Yeah.
tends to happen. I have that effect
Yeah.
on people. I should come with a warning.
No. I think all of my audience should connect with you. So, where can people find you? I mean, if they're in Chicago, they should try and find a pocket of time to connect with you. But online, what's the best way to connect with you?
I like to say I'm everywhere, right? I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time. No, I on Instagram I'm at Ruby Creative Co. And my website rubycreativeco.com. My email rubyh at rubycreativeco.com. Everything is Ruby Creative Co. So you go on Google, you put in Ruby Creative Co, you will find me.
Perfect. I mean, that's good branding.
That's really it.
Yeah.
This really is not rocket science. And Ruby Creative, which I was so against naming my business Ruby Creative because I'm like, Ruby is a jewel. I'm going to look like a jewelry store. My friends were like, Ruby is a jewel, and you can name yourself after the business because it's also a jewel. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Ruby Creative Co. actually with an actual person named Ruby behind it.
Mm, yes. Okay. So, all my listeners, go connect with her. And then, last question: what is some encouragement or advice that you would have for the next generation?
That not everybody's going to understand your vision. And and that's okay. Because my 17-year-old sister is going through that right now, where she is so advanced that no one understands her vision, but I understand it because I went through the same thing. And
Mm,
just because no one understands it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that you have to go through the motions and you have to push through, and eventually you're going to reach your goal because you're choosing you.
mm,
And that's
I
that's
love that. Oh, the perfect way to end the episode. I love it. I'm so thankful for your time and all the wisdom and advice and your story that you shared. I'm so glad to have connected with you and to be friends with you.
Yes. Oh, I love this. I love my Chicago peoples.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that we're going to connect in person soon, especially since you're in Chicago.
Yes.
But for now, I'll say goodbye. And I'm just so thankful for your time.
Oh, thank you. I'm grateful for this opportunity, really. And for you, Karina. It's been great. And
Thank you.
all and always.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye.
All right. Stay tuned for a new brand reveal soon. We are at the end of season 9 with only one more episode to wrap up the season next Tuesday. After you listen, feel free to take a screenshot to post on Instagram and tag at Elevating La Cultura or send me a DM. You can always comment on this YouTube video if you're watching online. I always like to hear from people and how they resonate with the stories that I share. So leave a review on Apple Podcasts so we can get more ears listening to these stories and we can continue elevating La Cultura. We also host monthly Comadre networking events, so if you're in Chicago, join us for one of those. All upcoming events can be found on the website elevatinglacultura.com. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening, y nos vemos next week. Bye.